follow suit with one question.
Thank you, Chair, but I'll request for your indulgence because what I'm about to ask is something that I know many of us share in this committee. And I constantly get the feeling that office holders responsible with matters security don't really understand or even are willing to comprehend the pain and losses caused by insecurity in the north. Cattle rustling is seen as a tradition and a people's backward culture. Kindly allow me to put this into context, and actually I pray for God's strength as I present this. Just yesterday, when I was undertaking this very important national duty, I received a text that criminals from my neighboring constituency, that is Tiati, ambushed herders, injured one person, and drove away with cattle. As if that was not enough, the criminals continue to be bolder by the day. This morning, they attacked again. As we speak, they have killed one person. 2 people are missing, one who is actually my staff, and they've stolen goods. On a normal day as a leader, I would have dropped everything, including this assignment, and rushed to my constituency to condole, bury, and have local security meetings. Then back to Nairobi, go to OP, we get a chopper, we go for security meetings, and we come back to Nairobi. Calm is restored, then reiteration attacks, most likely from my community, will take place, and the cycle continues. And this is the daily life of a typical pastoralist living along the border of another pastoralist county. The only time as a country we behave shocked or surprised is when we lose our security personnel, and only when we lose more than 2 or 3 lives. When will one life be too many to lose in the northern parts of this country? It should never be lost to us that at one point we lost over 42 police officers, and the only thing we have to show in Baragoi is a monument with the names of these fallen heroes. As a leader, I don't run away from my responsibility and have been consistent and diligent. But nominee, I am tired. I am honestly tired, and Kenyans are tired. What do you intend to do differently from your predecessors, away from the usual rhetoric and threats? Perhaps you need to come and live in Kurkur, Pora, Longewan, Losuk, incognito for only 1 week. Come and stay there. What strategy or are your thoughts do you have to end this menace once and for all, so that as a leader I can execute my other national duties and not concern myself only on matters security? Thank you.
Thank you. Gikaria, Professor, I've allowed that emotional discourse because of the peculiar circumstances of the member. Gikaria.
Thank you, Chair.
One question.
Pongezi, Kindiki.
Owen Bayo, switch off your microphone, please.
The question that I have, Honorable Kindiki, is that Kenya Kwanza Manifesto acknowledges that ensuring safe, secure, and fair environment through democratic policing, which contributes to development. What measures will you put in place to revive community policing initiative in urban areas and restore the public trust in the National Police Service? And I'm saying this because at the same time, maybe you can give us what constitutes a criminal gang that is supposed to be to be banned, you know, like these criminal gangs. In my place now, there is a gang called Confirm, and it is really bringing a lot of insecurity issues within the. So what would be required for that group to be, not to be confirmed, to be, you know, declared illegal, such that we can restore peace and order in Nakuru at large? Thank you.
Professor, those are 4. You can respond.
Thank you, Chair. On the first one, I promise to the nation and to the House, to this committee, that I will do what the Honorable Baya has recommended, which is to be a helpful and facilitative minister on this very sensitive docket. My vision is to transform the national government administrative structure, NGAO, from a structure which has the amenability for misuse by politicians and leaders, to increasingly allow this very useful structure to concentrate on its mandate, which is to sensitize the public on government programs, mobilize the public on important national issues, and actually be agents, the agents of government for service delivery and citizen empowerment. That is the vision I have for this cadre. It can be done, it will be done. I also envisage a difficult project of trying to improve the relationship between our police service and citizens, because there has been over the years broken relationship and trust deficit between the police and the public. And some of the reasons for that trust deficit, some of the reasons are actually beyond the control of the police officers themselves. The poor terms and conditions, the lack of facilitation at the service delivery points. For example, you have over 600 police stations without a penny in terms of AIE. You want that OCS to arrest a suspect, it is up to that OCS to feed the suspect and take them to court. You want a DCI officer to record a statement, they do not have money even to buy a notepad or a pen. So some of the things we blame the police officers for are actually caused by lack of a working environment that is suitable for delivery of services. So I intend also, in line with the Kenya Kwanza bottom-up model of delivery of services, to use the police station as the service delivery point and work from there upwards, as opposed to relying only on the top commanders in terms of trying to understand the working environment in which our police officers work. With regard to Nyumba Kumi, I am a firm believer that this is a very critical organ within our security architecture. The kind of requests that have been presented by this cadre are very modest, actually, including 500 shillings for 2 meetings a week. That's 1,000 shillings a week. It can even be 2 meetings a month. And using the budget that is already available, we can cut down on non-core expenditure and make sure we deploy some of the resources to be able to appreciate this very critical cadre, which is at the bottom of the pyramid of our security architecture. With regard to community policing, Honorable Gikaria, I agree that there are a number of organized gangs in many of the urban centers in our country, with some form of permanence, organization, and command structure. And therefore, perhaps those are details we need to share so that we can, if there is a consistency and these elements exist in the people committing those crimes in Nakuru, we can be able to support you and the people of Nakuru to make sure that we get rid of these people. With regard to the last issue on cattle rustling, I agree with the Honorable Naisula. The Honorable Naisula speaks on behalf of about 67% of Kenya's territory, the Kenya of the North. The Kenya of the North includes the North Rift, Northeastern, parts of Tana River, and some parts of the coastal strip fall in that category. A territory that is largely facing very serious insecurity. And allow me just to address the issue of banditry in the North Rift. I have been instructed, subject to this approval process, to make sure that we deal with banditry once and for all in the North Rift. Therefore, what am I going to do? I'll not be sharing operational issues here, but one of the challenges we have is the lack of operational capability for our officers who are serving in those areas. I have requested for facilitation so that we are able to improve the existing capabilities both for air and land mobility, but also for protection of officers to ensure that they keep the peace there and deal with that issue. We will also have to invoke the provisions of the Constitution and the National Police Service Act to ensure that we actually energize the community policing program to make sure that we don't just rely on soldiers, on officers who are just posted there and they do not even understand this terrain. So that the community helps the officers to be able to track the criminals, and in the meantime, as we venture in that collaborative community policing initiative, in the meantime, you allow us to do what the law says should happen to criminals. And I would not want to say further than that for now, except that I am instructed to ensure that the banditry problem is resolved once and for all. I assure Kenyans, and I assure this committee, that I will make whatever sacrifices that are required to be made. I will stay focused until this problem is over. Even if it means, Honorable Naisula, coming to live in the North Rift. Not for a week, not for a month. We will stay there as long as it is necessary. Because, Honorable Speaker, when criminals, bandits, castle rustlers, terrorists, when they don't fear government, as Honorable Naisula has said, that culture that they raid today, they raid tomorrow, they kill police officers, they kill civilians, when that culture permits, then the legitimacy of the state is at stake. So we'll do whatever it takes. As soon as I take office, the number one assignment is to ensure we set free this country from criminals, from bandits, terrorists, and cattle rustlers, not through press conferences. We will speak less because security does not require speaking. But I also want to assure the nation, the Honorable Chairman, we will follow the law. We will respect the Constitution. We will respect all the international human rights and humanitarian treaties that are part of the law of Kenya. But we will still do the job, because in some of the most secure countries, ruthlessness with criminals is matched with the respect for human rights. So law-abiding citizens don't have anything to fear. There will be no extrajudicial killings. There will be no abuse of human rights. But we will do to criminals what needs to be done for them under both national and international law.
The next batch of Shuria's question on issuance of travel documents. I think it says you didn't answer that.
Yes, I think the Honorable Shurie, the issue of, particularly the issue of vetting in northern Kenya, is not a requirement of the law, it's an administrative measure. In light of the need to respect fundamental rights and freedoms and make sure that there is no discrimination, we will increasingly review the procedures for vetting to make them human rights friendly and friendly to the citizens of Kenya. But in the long term, Honorable Chairman, the long-term solution for that vetting problem, which is a bit uncomfortable, I must say, but is necessary, is when the country will adopt a unique identifier number at birth. An attempt was made under the Vision 2030 under the IPRS project, which was abandoned, and then the Huduma bill came and took over some of that effort and brought confusion. Some of the matters are in court, but the moment you are able to have a unique identifier number at birth, then you will not need to be vetted by anybody, because government will have the record of every child, every person born in Kenya. So the idea of vetting will go in the long term. But in the short term, please, we must secure our borders, and there are many ethnic consanguinities and relationships, especially in the north, with other ethnicities in neighboring countries. So it's not supposed to be a punishment on Kenyans. It's just meant to ensure that at least we secure our borders and make sure that we protect the Kenyan population. We will ease that and make it human rights friendly. Eventually, that has to go when that project on an integrated population registration system is complete.
Posing a massive